Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. Now, everybody watching this, or almost everybody watching this, is probably already aware of the whole, I don't know, iDubbbz drama with, like, the apology video and whatnot. So if you're not aware of that for whatever reason, there should be an info card, I think, either up here or here. Sorry, the camera is backwards. Yeah, anyways, for those of you who are new here, this is, in fact, a live show. However, it is also a podcast, and it is also meant to be as entertaining as possible, meaning that you can, in fact, watch it while it's not even live. And it's basically the same as a good quality video. I know. That's crazy. Hello, Pancake Panic. Welcome to the show. And also, there are always going to be timestamps in the description below, so if, let's say, you don't have enough time to watch the entire thing, though I do highly recommend it. I'm just saying. You can skip around as much as you want, as much as need be, because I understand that not everybody has an infinite supply of free time. Unlike me, who probably does, let's be real. I mean, not really, but still. Either way, you know, I've already covered a lot of the iDubbbz stuff. Congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, Pancake Panic. I really appreciate it. I am also very happy about it. Hopefully I get monetized within the next month. I know. It's insane. You know, it's just, oh, you know, it's gotta process the AdSense account or whatever, and then it's like, oh, we review your channel and stuff. You know, it's like, oh, wow. Can't you just give me money already? That would be nice, but no, of course not. You have to, I have to wait. Because, yeah, whatever. It's fine, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal, alright? It's not that, I'm not just in it for the money, though I would like to do this as a career. More so now than ever, okay? Yeah, that's right. I am incredibly motivated to do this. You know, my goal is to, you know, one day, hopefully I can do this full time. I mean, it's not guaranteed, of course, but it would be nice if that was ultimately the outcome. I mean, that is the goal. That is how I've set the channel up. But anyways, there are a few things that are a little bit newer in terms of the iDubbbz drama. One of them is just a tweet that he made that I thought was pretty stupid, and we're going to be reading that. And we're also going to be looking at some more bad opinions, or, I mean, hopefully there are a few good opinions, but let's be real, there probably won't be on the whole iDubbbz situation, because there is so much to go through, and I think that there's some interesting content coming your way. Yes, I know. Crazy. So, if you're interested in learning more about why some people hate iDubbbz and why some people still love him, and some people are just like, I don't know, then keep watching. Watch the entire thing. I highly recommend it, okay? You won't regret it, I swear. Smash like and subscribe as well. You also probably won't even regret that, alright? Yeah, that's right, everybody. So, yeah, without further ado, yes, we are going to be talking about, watching other people give their takes and explaining why they're wrong. Obviously. I mean, what else would I be doing? I mean, this is the Femyoz YouTube channel after all. You know, there can only be one person who is always correct, and obviously that's going to be me. I'm just saying. I am just saying. But before we get started, I just need to, you know, test the audio, make sure everything is level and whatnot, and then we can get started, okay? All right.
I wish that when people would do... So this is the reason why I don't like apology videos. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with being apologetic or changing content.
All right, I think that's good. All right. Anyways, I'm sorry. Hello, Honey Bun's #1 bussy consumer. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. You know, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do something a little bit... Like, I'm gonna be super original today and make a video about iDubbbz. Yes, that is right, everybody. I can't pronounce words today. Indubit. Alright, we're just gonna ignore that. Hopefully I remember to cut that out of the... Well, I'm too lazy, let's be real. So original. I couldn't agree more. I think I might be a little bit on the loud side. So we're just gonna... I think if we just move the mic a little bit further away, and then... because, yeah, alright, yeah, I think... and please clip this. Clip what? Clip what? I don't even know what you mean. Alright, sorry. Okay, this should be good. Alright, I'm a little bit on... yeah, alright. It's close enough. Alright. Let's see here. And then this is the part where I put the timestamp. I know, crazy. You get to watch how these things are made live, unless you're watching the past live stream, in which case you actually don't get to see that. You just get to see the final product, kind of. I don't even know. Well, you do get to see the same thing, I guess. Anyways, so the first video we're going to be watching is called Destiny Explains the Problem with the iDubbbz Apology. Now, I have criticized the iDubbbz Apology myself. And while I might not be the biggest DDGer in the world, I also don't hate him. I know a lot of left-wingers specifically hate him. I don't really get why. I mean, he has some bad takes every once in a while, but he's not insufferable or anything. I mean, come on, he's not that bad. At least not in my opinion. But I want to see if he has similar criticism to what I've laid out in my previous live streams, and if it lines up. I'm curious to see what he has to say. I'm hoping he's as level-headed as me in this situation.
I wish that when people would do... So this is the reason why I don't like apology videos. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with being apologetic or change your content going forward. Like, it's cool if Ian is like, yeah, I did edgy shit, and I'm going to try to get away with that. Or I'm going to try to get away from that because I don't think it, like, represents my values now. I don't think I necessarily like being in charge of a community that's bullying people. I don't think it's good to, like, put those, like, messages out into the world. I think that that's fine. But I feel like... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. When people do this, they seem so, like, soy-cucked. Like...
I mean, I kind of agree, but at the same time, I don't think that, like, that's not the best argument, right? Like, yeah, sure, maybe he seems soy-cucked, but it's not just about that. It's about where his values lie, and the fact that, well, I mean, the entire premise of, oh yeah, let me just pretend like all of the content comps were, like, bad, and these awful videos that were just super hateful, when in reality... You know, maybe, okay, yeah, I could see apologizing for the Tana one. That makes sense. He went a little bit too far, maybe. I don't disagree with that. But, I mean, come on. Are you seriously gonna apologize to LeafyIsHere, Keemstar, Rice Gum, Jinx, who is known for stealing content? I know that one's a little bit older, so not as many people might know. The Spider-Man and Elsa channels, really? You're gonna apologize to the awful Spider-Man and Elsa channels? Seriously, come on. They don't even know you exist, my guy. You don't need to apologize to them.
I think it's okay to be like, and this might just be my brain as internet poison, but if somebody's like I could see, like, I probably made a lot of statements that are similar to this video, where it's like, hey, like, there's some humor that I used to engage in, and now when I look back, I'm like, I can see how this can become problematic, and I feel kind of shitty if I've got, like, black fans and shit that look at me like, oh, Destiny, like, it feels like you kind of, like, don't like us as much because these jokes. And I can understand. So, yeah, I probably won't say that. But I feel like there's a difference between that and being like, I realized that when I engaged in forms of highly problematic humor that is employing slurs on the internet, that I'm alienating my BIPOC fans. And
yeah, no, I agree with Destiny here, for the most part at least. I think it could be worded a little bit better, but broadly, yeah, he's right.
I just want to know that you guys understand that there's a safe space for you everywhere on the internet that can be free from hate, and that nobody deserves to be treated that way. And that, like, even though roughly the messages are kind of the same, like, it feels like so...
It comes off more submissive, especially because he's...
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And while it is, you know, being submissive and breedable is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I do it all the time. However, in a video like this, you don't really want to engage in that, right? There's a time and a place to be submissive and breedable, okay? Just do it while your wife is pegging you, okay? That's the time and place, not during an apology video, okay? An apology video is not the time or place. And yes, I agree with Destiny here, right? The delivery is incredibly important when it comes to an apology video. Now, I don't think that Ian is, you know, wrong for apologizing, you know, just sort of like what Destiny said, but yes, the delivery is kind of shit, and I feel like he's overcorrecting. I feel like that's the other criticism that Destiny should be making here, is that it feels like he's overcorrecting and apologizing for aspects of his content that actually weren't very problematic at all, in the slightest, right? Again, why would you apologize to Leafy or Keemstar? Come on.
He's also, like, donating money,
yeah,
which
like,
is fine, but
I
both
feel like
things
there's, like, a whole bunch
together,
of people in the background with, like, BLM flags and, like, whips that are, like, ready to kick his ass if he's not, like, giving the perfect apology.
But still, even with that, even if that were the case, it's like, why would you apologize to Leafy? Come on.
I don't know, just it feels like...
When he gave that one part about, like, seeing the mirror of his fans, I feel like that felt like a more original part of it. I feel like if it was all like that, then it wouldn't seem as soy-cucked.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think that, yeah, understanding, oh, well, this makes me really uncomfortable. I don't like this very much. Oh, wait, this is the exact kind of behavior that I've been engaging in, right? It gives him an opportunity to reflect, and I think that that's perfectly valid. I don't think that makes him a hypocrite or anything like that, right? I think that that's a terrible criticism, right? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, is that a donation? Why, thank you, Mutated Cutie, for the $3. Glad you went with that 4th stream idea. Love, Mutated Cutie. Aw, I love you too. I clipped it. Wow, okay. You trying to pronounce the indubitably? Is that correct? Is that that's the correct pronunciation, I think, right? I think. Look, I don't know. Also, why do I look red today? Yes, you got it? Okay, thank goodness. See, I can pronounce words. I just wasn't trying hard enough before, okay? I was only using 0.001% of my brain power, alright? That's how it works.
Like I said, I think there's like, because I think I feel like I've made statements very similar to this before. But like, this just sounds like so like, yeah. I should have, there was a part in the middle when I started laughing that sounded like so, what was it, the one about slurs?
I think it was where he said, I'm sorry specifically to black people.
Yeah, he's like, oh, like I want to give a special shout out to my to my African American fans out there that I feel like we're super. And it's like, okay, like we got it. But yeah, I don't know. The language and everything makes it.
Yeah, if he like, and then it makes people look bad because then I remember Sneeko was talking about it and he was saying like he associated the fact that he says that his wife's wants him to do this and he's like now associating the whole like OnlyFans wife with the connection of cancel culture with the connection of like the black trans issue. So it just gives like, you know what I mean? The objects are, it just gives edgy people a way to kind of just like package all those things together and be like,
oh yeah, for sure. Well, to be fair though, they're probably going to do that regardless, but not to the extent that they've been doing it, right? I think that ultimately what Ian needs is he needs someone to coach him on his rhetoric. If he's going to make more serious content like this, okay? He's really good at, you know, packaging things in terms of like a joke or with comedy or whatever, right? But he's not very good at articulating himself in a more serious manner. In a way that'll get him taken more seriously, all right? Like, he's been, you know, his entire career, he's been, you know, doing the opposite of trying to take himself seriously. He's been, oh yeah, let me just make everything into a joke, right? That's what a comedian does, right? But as soon as he wants to be taken seriously, it's like, what approach does he even take? Well, it seems like he has no idea. So I feel like if he were to just have somebody, like some sort of rhetorician or whatever, coach him on this, I feel like he could, that could do him wonders, all right?
this is like the woke virus and stuff.
Yeah, but I think that Ian genuinely believes this. But then this is also... Can you plug your ears for a moment? Okay, I'm gonna say something, but I need you to not get triggered. Okay, can you?
What? Okay.
I think that for a lot of this too, a lot of this is. When do you have to leave?
I don't like this. This is uncomfortable, but okay.
I feel like a lot of this is an age thing, to where Ian is, what is he, like 32? Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think so. Something
like, I think when you're like a young man, you're in your early 20s, you want to get out there, you want to be ultra edgy, ultra provocative, ultra whatever, and then like you kind of get older and you kind of grow out of it. And you're like, okay, maybe like I probably don't need to be like this fucking mean to everybody. I probably could have said these messages in a better way.
To be fair, being mean to Leafy was kind of the fucking point, right? Like that was a good thing. That's what made it so impactful. That's what made it a good video. That's why that content comp is, in my books at least, you know, kind of a masterpiece. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably didn't need to be this edgy. I probably turned off more people than I needed to. I probably could have like communicated a lot of what I wanted to without being like so needlessly aggressive. So like an early
no, but the quote unquote needless aggression was part of why it was so effective.
20s male trying to relate to like an early 30s male on that is probably going to be really difficult. That would be my feeling.
No, I can empathize with him. I understand where he's coming from and whatnot. I mean, I'm 19. I'm not even in my 20s yet, right? But I can still empathize with, you know, what he's going through. I get where he's coming from, right? And while I still do have a lot of criticism of him that I think is still valid, I do understand why he's acting the way he's acting and making this video, right? I understand that it comes from, you know, a place of rumination, a place of, you know, regret, and ultimately I think that he just feels guilty, right? He feels guilty, and he's acting on his emotions, which is not an inherently rational thing to do, right? That is irrational, right? So that's why I don't think he's focusing too much on the logic of what he's saying or on how it's delivered. He's just presenting it raw, like, you know, from the top of his head, right? I don't think that this video was even scripted. Maybe he had bullet points, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes he kind of looks around, but it's like, okay, I do that as well. And I don't read off of a script most of the time.
A lot of people would view this as like being ultra sweat cocked and thinking like there's no way that Ian actually feels this way. Like I think he probably feels this way. I don't think this is like,
Oh, he absolutely does. I don't think he's faking it or doing it for money. This is not something that is going to make him more money, right? I don't think... Because it's like, oh, okay, well, now you have, like, you know, the edgier fans that don't like you anymore, which was your fan base, and then you have all these people that you're, whatever, apologizing to, and it's like, well, they probably still don't really like you or at least care, right?
Fake, right?
Wait, what do you think his... I don't know what his audience age was. What do you think his audience age is now?
I mean, I'm 19. I was, like, whatever, 12 or 13, I think, when I discovered his content, so... I guess time flies, right?
So would they also be like late 20s, early 30s?
Well, yeah, but mentally they're still early 20s.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even 20 yet. What the fuck, man?
Yeah. I think that for a lot of people,
man, maybe I was just like one of his younger fans. Was I young? Was I too young to be an iDubbbz fan? Was like, I mean, I probably shouldn't have been watching. Nah, I don't know. I feel like when you're 13, you can watch edgy content, like what iDubbbz make. I mean, I don't know. I feel, maybe, at least for me, it was fine.
I think that if you're making content and you're engaging with a lot of people, I think that...
Even early 20s, that seems old. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but... I don't know. Man, maybe I was just one of his youngest fans. I guess when I found his channel, I was, like, pretty close to the cutoff point of, okay, yeah, this is the age where it's like, okay... Maybe you shouldn't be watching iDubbbz. In fact, you probably wouldn't even understand the jokes he's making or some shit. I don't know. I mean, I know I did. I understood the jokes, but I mean, if you showed him to me, whatever, 2 years prior to that, I probably wouldn't have. I don't know. I think I would have understood most. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Can mature, but if you're just watching it, because you have to collect some life experiences to mature.
Not necessarily. You can mature by, you know, doing things like analysis, you know, thinking about things from a more philosophical or even existential perspective, right? You don't have to experience things to change your own mindset, right? You can do this all internally. This is it, like, you know, having real life experiences is not, you know, a prerequisite for change, right? All you have to do is be willing to change for the better. Be willing to, whatever, analyze and be critical of what you already think, right? I think that that's a really important thing. That's one of the most important and fundamental aspects of growing as a person.
And if you're just watching this guy's content all the time, you might not be getting those life experiences. So there's probably a lot of men in their 30s that are still like kind of mentally like in their 20s because they haven't gone out, collected experiences, and done anything, you know?
Mm-hmm. The other reason I feel like it's going to come off soy cucked is because like, I mean, maybe this is like outlined or scripted to a certain degree just so he remembers all his points, but like people are going to associate edgy.
I don't think it's that scripted. I think he has bullet points, but I really don't think it's scripted. It doesn't feel scripted. I think that some parts might have been scripted. I think the intro was scripted, right? But I don't think that it was entirely scripted. Maybe it was. I could be wrong on that entirely. But I don't know. I don't know. It feels like some of it is scripted and some of it is off the cuff. That's how I felt, but that could just be me.
iDubbbz with like really energetic traits, like him being super witty and like high energy and stuff, versus Siri's more chill and stuff. So I feel like if he could somehow have still been, I don't know, maybe that's stupid.
That is stupid, right? Like, you're not gonna be high energy and like, oh, let me, you know, make all these funny haha jokes and you know, make fun of this situation. Actually, it's like, okay, but that defeats the point of an apology. An apology isn't meant to be comedy, right? Like that, like then it's like, what would be the point of even making one in the first place then? At that point, if you're not going to take it seriously, it's like, just don't apologize at that point.
No, I agree 100%. That's definitely an issue too, is that...
Because they're going to associate the lack of energy with also now him changing on the political spectrum. They're going to be like, see, like, liberals are depressing and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's changed that much on the political spectrum. Frankly, I think that the only thing that's really changed is that maybe he cares more about cares more about politics, but I don't think that in terms of his actual values, that he was any more right-leaning in the past. I just think maybe he wasn't as politically active in the past. I could see that being the case, but he never struck me as a right-winger, right? I think that a lot of people just misinterpreted his work. I don't know, maybe, I just, there's something about that, though, that just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, how do people misinterpret his work? I thought it was obvious. Okay, I started watching him when I was, 12 or 13, and I understood the points he was making. I understood his logic. I understood where he was coming from when he made certain videos. I understood what his words actually meant, right? But there are genuinely people that think, oh yeah, that iDubbbz just loved bullying people for fun. That was his whole shtick. It's like, no. Like, did you not watch the Leafy content comp and actually listen to the arguments he was making? He was never, when he said the words, I like bullying, he wasn't being literal. He wasn't saying, oh yeah, I just love bullying people for no reason. It's my favorite activity, right? But it's like, I feel like, at this point, it's like, was I one of the only people, despite being one of his youngest fans at the time, that understood that? Like, I don't want to say that I am, because then it's like, oh, well, now I'm just like, fucking, being like, oh yeah, look at how smart I am. I figured it out, when I was 13, where all these dumb, 18-year-olds didn't get it. It's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say here, but it's like, that might actually be the case. I don't know. Because I feel like I'm one of the only people that actually interpreted what he was saying, correctly. And maybe it's because I was not that versed politically, and maybe the other people watching his content were, so they thought that maybe he was dog whistling when he wasn't, where I just took it at face value. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, I feel like, I don't know.
Because, like, here's an issue, too. His old stuff, I wasn't even that big of a fan of his a long time ago, because it was just one of my favorite, but it was still funny, right? Like, all of the old iDubbbz stuff and Content Cop stuff was very, very, very funny. So, like,
really
if you go
good.
woke, which he's kind of done now, which isn't necessarily bad, but then, like, all your content is, like, kind of boring, then people probably gonna have a really negative association with that,
Yes. He is spot on here. Absolutely spot on. And this is something that, I've sort of elaborated on in this as well. This exact point, right? It's not about the style of rhetoric that was the problem. He just wasn't using it effectively enough to get his messages across, right? If he had just clarified, whether it be in live streams or in separate videos or even in the videos themselves, what his actual intentions were and why he said the things he said, I think that could have done a lot of good. I think that at that point his rhetoric would have been used for far more good than bad, right? Because then it's impossible to misinterpret him if he's, sort of walking you through his thought process. Not everybody can read between the lines, or they deliberately choose not to and misrepresent things he said, right? But if he immediately clears up any confusion that there may have been, well, then they can't really do that anymore, unless they're, really bad faith, in which case everyone else is going to be like, oh, you're taking that out of context. You don't actually understand the message, right? And then, and it's like, oh, okay, well then not very many people are going to try to do that anymore, right? Because it's like, oh, well then you're going to get called stupid for deliberately misinterpreting the message, right? Whereas, there's a little bit of plausible deniability if you misinterpret his message, if he doesn't clarify what the message actually is after the fact, right? If he's not, if he expects people to read between the lines, which normally I think would be fine, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, assume people are smart, charitability is a great thing, right? But it's like, okay, but you should probably, elaborate in other content, right? So that there's no plausible deniability, right? At that point, it's like, okay, well, you're just misinterpreting what he's saying, and here's proof of him saying what he actually believes, and you misinterpreting that, right? You are one of the people he's criticizing, type of thing, right? And I also believe that, yes, the style of rhetoric that you use and your style of humor are not the same as the actual message you are sending, okay? And this is why I use my style of rhetoric. Even though it seems kind of strange at first. It's like, oh, well, you're a left-winger. Why the fuck would you, say all this edgy shit? Oh, what's with the, oh, I've seen you use maybe a tactical N-word or two or some shit like that. It's like, okay, well, yeah. But, like, that's kind of the fucking point, right? Like, the point is to be entertaining and funny, at least to an extent, or to at the very least be logical, level-headed, etc., in a way that, I don't know, appeals to a certain crowd that otherwise wouldn't be open to left-wing ideas, right? So if I use their style of rhetoric, they are far more likely to listen to me, right? And I think that iDubbbz, once again, had a huge opportunity that he missed, right? It was a huge missed opportunity for him to use his style of rhetoric for good. And especially considering the fact that he regrets a lot of his older content, that could have been how he made up for it, was using, he has, whatever, a lot of his audience is right-wing or whatever, right? So he could have used that to his advantage, right? Because a lot of them are still impressionable, and they can be swayed politically, or at least they could at the time. They're a little bit older now. Who knows? I don't know. But if if he had used that for good, that could have done so much good that completely outweighs the small amount of bad he did in the past, right?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. What was the reaction to this? Like,
It was mixed. It was mixed.
Apparently, it was really rough. He got 160,000 thumbs up, and he got like 100,000 thumbs down, I think, is what people were saying.
Yeah, something like that. Slightly more likes than dislikes, you know?
do you feel like it would have been better if he didn't post an apology and just like moved forward with the type of content that he thinks is better? Like more.
No, people were calling him a hypocrite for that. I think that an apology made sense, right? Because it's like, okay, people are holding him to his old standards, right? That he doesn't abide by anymore. He doesn't believe in a lot of the things he used to say. And he needs to clarify that, otherwise people are going to be like, oh, well, you're a hypocrite. It's not like you've disavowed this. But then it's like, oh, well, as soon as you disavow it, it's like, oh, well, you're doing it because you're a cuck and you're a grifter, and you don't have a spine anymore, etc., right? It's like there's no winning, right? However, I think that if he had, presented the apology video a little bit differently, that could have done wonders.
Really better.
I think no, because he probably had to address things because everybody's like typing like, "Where's the old iDubbbz and shit." I feel
Yes,
like
that too.
I feel like you can still give like an alpha, confident, dominating like apology video.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be like, "I'm so sorry for like how I've hurt everybody, especially my black friend." You can be like, "Listen, I did content in the past. It's kind of cringe. I don't like it. I don't support it. I'm not gonna do it going forward."
To be fair, I don't even think it matters that much if he's domineering necessarily. You could have argued, oh, well, he was kind of domineering in, the OnlyFans video that was poorly received. Now, I actually supported that video. I thought, oh, yeah, that's a good video. I don't know why the fuck people are overreacting. The answer is because they don't actually understand the point of his content. But, I defended him. But ultimately it's like, oh, well, you could argue, oh, well, he's just overly defensive and, well, yada, 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 even though he might be a little bit more domineering. So again, it is a difficult situation to deal with, and especially when you're in, like, this weird transitional period in your life where you're all emotional and shit, and you aren't really sure, where your, either where your values are or what approach you want to take, or maybe both. At that point, it's like, yeah, you're in a really shitty situation. It's like, well, if I'm disavowing my old style of rhetoric, especially, it's like, well, what am I going to do? Use my old style of rhetoric to do so? It's like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense either, right? So he can't do that. He can't make it into a joke, or people are going to be, oh, well, he's not actually sorry, so he can't do that either. It's like, he's in a really difficult situation. Now, frankly, I don't even know if the apology itself was warranted. I think that ultimately, if you wanted to apologize to Tana, that makes sense. Do it in a video if you want, right? Just be like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Don't apologize to Leafy. Come on.
Forward. If you don't like that, get the fuck out, and then like move on.
Because then they'd respect him more. Because he's like, I feel like in the past seen as a cool person, so if he's still cool giving this.
Yeah, then it's fine. Yeah. Like I think that's why I've largely skirted by like a lot of my old like edgy shit because I used to be way edgier, believe it or not. But like I'm still very entertaining, very charismatic, very funny, very good at video games, Riz master.
Sure.
Hyper intelligent, good researcher. Like I still have all of my I'm getting better in every single trait at like all areas of my life. Yeah. So when I say shit like, yeah, I used to be kind of cringe and more problematic as shit in the past, but not anymore. People are like, okay, yeah, but the new Destiny's so much cooler.
Because you're not like, yeah, you didn't become deflated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I understand that, and ultimately, I'm probably gonna end up being the same way. That probably will be something that me and Destiny have in common, right? It's like, okay, yeah, at some point I'm sure that my style or whatever is gonna change, right? But it's like, okay, but I'm progressively getting better at streaming, and progressively getting better at making content, etc. You get the point, right? And ultimately, as long as I am entertaining, and I know I'm entertaining, and I'm doing what entertains people, that's what matters. It's not about whether or not, you didn't meet the criteria for, how many times you need to say the N-word in a month, so you're not edgy enough. Like, that's stupid. I don't think that even the most, hardcore conservative iDubbbz fans even give a shit about that. Like, even the ones that give a shit about the OnlyFans thing because they're deranged. It's like, even they, I don't even think they give a shit about that. It's like, what? They would think, oh, okay, well, I could understand why he wouldn't say it because he doesn't, it's like, okay, it's his job. He's got to make money. He just doesn't want to say it anymore. It's fine. I get that. He doesn't want to get his videos age restricted or taken down. It's like, okay, like, even they would at least make that argument, even though it's not a good argument, right? They would still, you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what the best video would have been that he could have done on an apology video? You know what it would have been?
Set a slur.
Content cop iDubbbz. He's gonna say content cop iDubbbz.
What?
It would have been if I'm stealing this one from chat. If he made a content cop on himself.
I knew it. I wasn't even reading his chat. I mean, okay, that I guess sure. Yeah, if you made a content, okay, You know what? I take that. That wouldn't really be an apology. You know what? Actually, that would be better than any apology. You know what? If he's like really like critical on himself the same way that he was critical on others, I think that that's perfectly good. You know, I think that that's a sign of growth, right? And then that would be the final content cop. I think that would have been really good. Now I might make a content cop style video on him. You know, it might be a little bit different. In fact, it might actually address some of the few flaws. Yeah, content cops aren't perfect. They're really good, but they're not perfect, okay? Nothing is perfect, right? And there were a few flaws that I thought could be fixed, right? And, well, I might be fixing those, I might not, I don't know. I will be giving him harsh criticism. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna try and end his career or make it one-sided. I might for part of it, but I might also step in and interject, you know, when past me says something that maybe I don't agree with anymore. Maybe I, you know, might even apologize for that. You know, maybe I use Ian's new standards instead of his old ones, you know? Well, I take them both into account, right? I don't know, maybe something like that.
That's what the top comment kind of said.
Oh shit, I just saw that from my DGG chat, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And then if he would have made that video really funny, that actually would have been probably the best way to do it. Because then it would.
You know what, actually, I agree with that. I take what I said about, oh, well, you can't make an apology funny because then you're not taking it seriously. You know what, I feel like if you're making a content cop on yourself, you are taking it seriously, right? In a weird way, right? It's like, it's giving himself a taste of his own medicine. The whole point of content cop is applying people's own standards to them. And that would have been the most beautiful and poetic way to apologize, now that I think of it, right? He would be applying his own standards to him. He would be showing why it's just as easy to criticize himself with those standards, right? And why, you know, using those standards makes him a hypocrite, and then that would be why he's not doing it anymore. I think that that would have been really fucking good. That would have been so fucking smart, right? And I think a lot of people would have been able to get behind it. It's like, well, yeah, the whole concept, you know, is kind of maybe not flawless, or not as flawless as I thought it was. It's like, oh yeah, there are things he did in the past that were kind of shitty that he can be criticized for, right? He wasn't like this perfect edgelord who did no wrong. It's like, no, he was a human being.
Would have been bridging the old content and the new content.
Yeah.
It would have been showing like, well, you know, I said this, but it was kind of problematic. Like, yeah, I attacked her and she said some dumb shit, but she was also like fucking 18, right? So like.
But if he sees it to the level where he thinks he was indoctrinating people, I don't think he would do that tone, because it sounds like he
Well,
literally thinks he was doing something so wrong.
But that's the.
And yeah, I think that his tone, I feel like he was too hard on himself about the tone or style of rhetoric or whatever. But that would have been a really cool video, right? Because he would have been taking accountability at that point, right? Like, not just like making a joke out of it or making light of it, right? He might do that in some parts. He might make jokes in it, but that wouldn't be the core message. And that's key, right? The core message of every content comp is, you know, contains some amount of valid criticism, right? And I think he could have done a lot of good with that.
Issue. The tone wasn't the problem. It was things like word choice and stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't think that the word choice was good, and I think that ultimately, if he had a semi-comedic but mostly serious tone in a content cop on himself, I think that that could actually be effective, right? I think that and it would have been like the final installment of his content cop series, you know, where it ends, you know? It starts with iDubbbz, it ends with iDubbbz. I think it's poetic, it makes sense, it would resonate with a lot of people. You know, if he proved that, oh yeah, I was a hypocrite in my older videos because X, Y, and Z, and here's me saying something stupid that's obviously wrong, I don't know why people wouldn't call me out on that, and oh, you know, remember when I said that half of the problem with Jinx was that he received nothing but thumb ups and positive comments? Well, that was the same problem that I had. You know, oh, look, here's everybody, you know, saying good things, nobody's saying anything bad about the content copy. Here they are sucking me off, basically, even though there's these glaring issues, right? I think that could have been really effective, right? He would be applying his own old standards to him in the past, and then explaining why his new standards are preferable and more consistent, etc., right? Especially with the whole consistency thing, right? That was a key component, was proving that other people are hypocritical. But if he proves that his past self is hypocritical, not in terms of contradicting his current self, but in terms of criticizing, well, in general, right? you know, in the past, before he even changed, he was a hypocrite in some way. Or, you know, he said something that was incredibly stupid, that everyone obviously knows is wrong, or whatever, right? Or, oh, this aged really poorly, and here's why. And, oh, yeah, because your intent totally means that everyone understands your video. It's not like there were millions of comments of people saying, oh, yeah, like all this crazy shit. It's not like I didn't see those comments. It's, whatever. Anything, right?
Like, I think that, like, you can still have the general character of the content, but just, like, in a
Yes.
less kind of, like, bullying or problematic way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like you can get away with bullying yourself a lot more as well, right? Bullying your past self, I feel like, is like, that's not even a problematic, like, no, who is gonna say that that's problematic? I mean, unless you're doing it in a mentally unhealthy way, in a way that, it, you know, it is ruminatory and just sort of, you know, mentally, like, doing it in a mentally ill way. Don't do that, right?
What would you rate it?
I give it a 5 out of 10.
What's like a 10 out of 10 apology video?
Anything I've ever done ever.
Have you put out apology videos?
I was one of the first people to stop saying it, like 10 years ago.
He just said it.
Way before, when everybody was still saying it.
What does it have to do? Like, did you put out an apology video?
I wrote a whole article about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can I see it?
Can we read one of your articles next?
My 18-year-old Radfem articles.
Oh boy.
I don't even remember. Oof. I don't know if I want to
I
read
mean,
this is way too long. No, never mind. Maybe
I
later.
love how he stopped saying the word, but then he's like, oh yeah, let me say the word. It's like, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's where it ends. That's where it ends. Okay. Ah. Exit first screen, please.
Try to establish economic parity.
Not what I meant to do. That's not even, okay. It's not even the playlist I was looking up. But okay.
I wish that when people would do
Ah, stop. Stop. All right, time to read chat. Oh man, I'm so excited. Okay. By the way, Femyoz, check your Discord. I pinged you with a video idea. I will check that in a bit. No way. Is there more drama? I guess there's more opinions. There's more takes, etc. Oh yeah, that's right. I was also gonna go look at his tweet. That got a lot of shit as well. Hello, Skellington Doge. Welcome to the stream. But yes, there is always gonna be more drama. There's always more. There's always a new way to suckle on the teat of the iDubbbz drama. Let's be real, okay? Anyways. Hold on. Oh, that's just... Who is the old guy on your wall? Are you talking about this beautiful man? This beautiful bald specimen, Bald Martin? He is the Lord and Savior. Also, I just realized how... I don't know why my face is so red today. Am I just that tired? Because, like, I know what happens when iDubbbz is so submissive. So true. Unlike me, of course. I would never. I don't know. Oh my god, I'm tired. Jeez. If my face is red, I'm either A, embarrassed, B, tired, or C, all of the above. I guess you gotta figure it out, right? If I'm giving, like, really good analysis and I'm red, that means I'm fucking tired, right? I'm using all my brain power that I have left before I take an inevitably, you know, longer than I should nap, right? Oh, before I even move on, I just want to show my outfit, you know? It's one of these outfits. Similar to an outfit I wore not that long ago. But I think it's kind of cute, right? Oh, let me pull my thigh highs up. It's like, ooh. Yeah. I can't spin too fast. I don't want my ass to show. Or maybe I do. I don't know. You never know. I don't know. Maybe I do want my ass to show. You never know. But yeah, the Lord and Savior Bald Martin, indeed. I agree. I honestly couldn't agree more. I don't even know. But yeah, I guess the next thing we're gonna be doing is, I guess, going to Twitter, right? Twitter.com. All right, we go to iDubbbz Twitter account. All right, it is very important that we go to the iDubbbz Twitter account. Okay, we go to iDubbbz. All right, iDubbbz Twitter account. YouTuber Boxing Guru. Okay. We are at the YouTuber Boxing Guru, okay? That is very good, very good. Alright, now, we go over here, okay? Boxing influ, okay. New video out in 30, oh, okay, wait, wrong one. Oh, that is a beautiful photo of him. I love that photo. I should use that in thumbnail. It is thumbnail material. Yes, very good, very good. I'm sorry. Why am I doing this stupid accent? Alright. So, on May 20th, 5 days as of recording this ago, that's grammatically correct, I promise, okay? It just is, alright? Just believe me. iDubbbz himself tweeted out something that was, well, not received very well by a lot of people, saying, I welcome opinions about my apology from people and communities whom the apologies were directed at. That is where my care starts and ends. Now, personally, I think that this is incredibly fucking stupid. I don't think that whether or not, like, again, whether or not somebody has a valid criticism is not dictated by whether or not you were apologizing to them. People can criticize you fucking regardless of whatever group they're a part of or whoever they are, right? You know, you welcome opinions about your apology, you say, right? But only from certain people. So what about somebody who agrees with you, but the apology wasn't directed at? So, like, for instance, you know, Vash, for instance. I mean, he's obviously in support of you for the most part. Do you welcome his opinion? What about Leafy's opinion? Who you know, he's against you, right? He thinks your apology is fucking stupid. Do you care about his opinion? Do you think that his opinion is more important than Vash's opinion? Because I would disagree. I think that whatever Vash says is gonna, you know, hold 10 times, okay, 10 times is underselling it, 100 times the amount of value as anything Leafy has ever said, okay? You know, Vash could talk about pooping, and that would be more valuable than anything Leafy has ever said, okay? Like, come on. Like, let's not pretend like whether or not you apologized to somebody, you know, dictates the validity of their opinions on your apology, okay? You know, as a wise man once said, you said some stupid shit in the past, and you can be criticized for it, okay? Anyone can criticize you regardless of whatever identity they're a part of, okay? You know, and as, you know, and if you can't tell, I'm not the straightest, nor the most cisgender human being on the planet. So technically, you know, I mean, part of, I mean, one of the slurs you used was, in fact, the faggot word, okay? So technically, I was deeply affected by that, okay? So my opinion matters, okay? That's good to know. But my opinion is that my opinion should not be dictated based on, you know, what minority groups I'm a part of, or whether or not your apology was directed at me, because at the end of the day, criticism is criticism, okay? So whoever's, okay, even if Sam Hyde, you know, who I get why Ian doesn't like him, okay? Even if Sam Hyde just so happens to say something that's valid criticism, it's still valid criticism. It doesn't automatically become invalid just because it's being said by someone you don't like or someone who's a bad person, right? It, like, again, a broken clock, you know, let's say Sam Hyde is a broken clock. He's still going to be right twice a day, right? Occasionally he might accidentally, you know, hit the bullseye, right? You know, just think about it, right? It's not about who is giving the criticism. Sure, you might value some people's opinions over other people's opinions, right? And that's fine, I guess. But again, I mean, I think, and a part of this is an optics L, okay? That's a big part of it. I get where he's coming from. Yes, I know that he what he really means is, oh, okay, I don't give a shit about, like, the conservative edgelords who, you know, hate OnlyFans or whatever, right? That's what, I think that's what he's trying to go for, right? But similar to how, you know, he was miscommunicating with this group of people in the past when he was making edgy jokes that were misinterpreted. Now he's saying things that aren't edgy jokes, but they're being misinterpreted for different reasons. I think that the main criticism you could make of iDubbbz is a lack of clear communication. I think that is the biggest flaw in him, is he is not clear about what he thinks or believes, right? You have to read between the lines to understand him as both a content creator and as a person, right? But that's not good. That's not good. That's a bad thing, right? You should have it, you know, easily, you should have some sort of, like, whatever, longer form content where you say, what you genuinely believe in detail, in a way that can't be misconstrued, readily available on your channel, whether it be past live streams or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, this looks really fucking bad. This is a terrible look. This is just identity politics, right? That's what this looks like. Because any conservative, edgelord who sees this, the way that they're going to interpret it is, they're going to interpret it as Ian saying that you have to be black for him to care about your opinion, which is stupid, obviously, right? You have to be black or somebody that a content cop has been made on. That's how they're going to interpret that. And that's a really bad look. I mean, that is the most literal interpretation of what he's saying here, right? That is, in a sense, if you don't read between the lines like I am and being charitable, which these people aren't going to be, that is how it comes across. And it's really stupid. I don't get why he thought it was a good idea to tweet this. It's incredible. Like, I just don't understand how he doesn't realize that this is incredibly irresponsible, not very intelligent, and it's just gonna make people resent you, frankly. It's like, these are people that you could have converted to the left, okay? I know Ian is left-wing. I just know. I can feel it in my bones, okay? It's very obvious, let's be real. Which is great. I'm also left-wing. I'm probably further left than he is in many regards. Maybe not aesthetically, aside from the cat ears and the whole being kind of trans thing. Aside that aside, okay, pretend like I look like, I don't know, pretend like I look like Vosh or something, or even more, I don't, you get what I mean, right? I wouldn't be aesthetically left-wing at all, but in terms of my actual ideology, much like iDubbbz from the past, potentially, it's still very left-wing. I'm not saying he was very left-wing, but I think that he was always more left than right. At the very least, he was neutral. I don't think he was ever a right-winger. Now, I believe that, regardless, I think that he just needs to be more clear when he communicates these things. There is so much potential for you to change so many people's minds, but instead you're ostracizing them as if that serves any utility whatsoever. It doesn't. You could convert these people into staunch leftists, all right? But again, not everybody is as good at reading YouTubers as I am, okay? So just because I became, a leftist, partly, partially as a result of a lot of the framework that Ian subtly laid out throughout his Content Cop series and whatnot, right? In order to, be a conservative, you have to contradict yourself constantly, and being consistent generally leads to leftism, unless you're, consistently narcissistic and evil or some shit, right? I guess that is consistent, but that's not really what Ian was ever in favor of, and I know that, and he knows that, right? So, regardless of whether or not your apology was directed at me, which, because I was never offended by the content, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm a part of a couple minority groups that may have been offended, but I wasn't personally offended. But regardless of whether or not your apology is or isn't directed at me, just hear me out as somebody who doesn't hate you, thinks that the whole, whining over the OnlyFans thing is bullshit, defended you there. The main criticisms I've been giving are, okay, this was rhetorically fucking stupid. The Froggy Fresh situation was a disaster. You should have just avoided that whole controversy. Okay, you made it blow up in your face, right? This was a really unintelligent thing to do. It was based on emotions. It was an emotional decision. It's not based on any consistent moral framework, okay? It causes less money to go to charity, etc., right? There's no utilitarian argument that can be made to defend, kicking Froggy Fresh, right? There just isn't any. At least not a good one. So that's why I was always... That's why I was surprised when Vosh was completely defending him, I'm pretty sure. It's like, okay, but what utility does this serve? Not much. If it actively reduces utility, right? It's, oh, less money goes to charity, and people shit all over Ian and his wife and harass them far more than they otherwise would have if they just simply not invited him to the next event, right? It's criticisms like that I don't think, that I think that they shouldn't be overlooked, simply because the majority of people criticizing him are fucking stupid, right? But that doesn't automatically invalidate my criticisms. My criticisms are valid and like legitimate concerns, right? I have legitimate concerns, right? And I feel like if Ian, you know, had more, if he had access to, you know, seeing criticism from more people like me, you know, rather than dog shit criticisms that just don't add up, I think that that could be really helpful for him and growing as a person. Because criticizing people you like, okay, I like iDubbbz. I don't hate him. I might criticize him harshly, but it's because I criticize the things I love, right? And I have a love for his older style of content. I understood his content. That's the thing. Like, I interpreted it for what it was, for what he wanted it to be, frankly. You know, I understood that he never had anything against minority groups. It was so obvious to me, intuitively. I understood his messaging. I understood that his goal was to make, you know, these offensive words hold no meaning because, well, then they hold no meaning, and it's more difficult to be, you know, a hateful person if everyone is just laughing at you for doing that. That was his intent. At least to an extent. His intent was to be funny and do it in a way that, well, makes fun of racism, right? But I guess people didn't realize, the racist people in his audience didn't realize that they were the butt of the joke, right? They didn't realize it. And then it caused harm anyway. And it's a tragic thing to see, right? And that's why I wish there were more people like me, you know, giving these nuanced takes, right? Rather than just one side or the other. Oh, he's in the right, but rhetorically kind of ineffective, but mostly in the right, and he didn't do anything wrong with the Froggy shit. And then, like, oh, he's a cuck now, and his wife is abusing him, and forcing him to do it, and she's manipulating it. It's like, no, you're both oh my god. Oh, I would say Anisa is a master manipulator is more along the lines of your stereotypical conspiracy brain rot, but still, it's like, criticize what you care about. In a constructive and meaningful manner, right? That's so important. The only thing that I think is more important than criticizing the people you hate is criticizing the people that you love and care about, that you want to see succeed and do the right thing, because you know they are capable of changing for the better. I know Ian is capable of changing for the better, because generally, broadly, that's what he's trying to do. He's obviously willing to change a lot. He's made good changes like being more empathetic. That's a great change. Being more vulnerable. Great change. Being more open and honest. Great change. These are all great things. And that's why I care. That's why I care so much. Okay, if iDubbbz was just some old fart that I didn't give a shit about, right? If he just made content I never watched or cared about, you think I would be making 4 long-ass live streams dedicated to dissecting every single little tiny fucking detail of every situation he gets himself in? No! No, I wouldn't put this much effort into it. But it's because I want to see him do the right thing. I want to see him thrive and succeed in a way that's meaningful to him and a lot of his audience, that, you know, he could move to the left. Once his audience, if he could have gotten his audience to just understand where he was coming from in his content, rather than shitting on his old content because it wasn't effective enough, just doubling down and justifying what he actually meant by it and what it was supposed to mean, could have been far more meaningful than any apology he could ever make. It could have meant so much. He could have done so much good, okay? Because I understood what he meant when he said the things he said. And look at where I am now. If you look at any debates I'm in, or whatever, or any of the politics I engage in, you can tell that I am a staunch leftist. And who was one of the main people that heavily influenced me growing up? It was Ian. It was iDubbbz. And a lot of that framework I still use today. That's why all my arguments are, well, based on logic and reasoning. That's how I'm able to be so effective at showing the hypocrisies of conservatism. I use a lot of that style of rhetoric. That's the earliest style of rhetoric that I learned. And I learned how to use it effectively, right? Now, I use other styles of rhetoric in conjunction with that, right? It's not just Ian's style of rhetoric anymore. I use, whatever, Vosh's, Hunter Avalon's, and my own, right? I use all of it, okay? But at the end of the day, I think he could have done a lot of good. If he had made a video that explains everything, that allows people to see his content the way I've seen it, he could have done so much good. And that, I think, is so important and completely overlooked. Even by people with nuanced takes that I mostly agree with. Even Destiny, who has a pretty decent take on this, for instance. I think, well, even he doesn't see this, I don't think. He doesn't see the amount of good Ian could do with that style of rhetoric. And I think that that's really tragic, frankly. It's really tragic to see, I don't know. Did Vosh defend him on the Froggy Fresh drama? I'm pretty sure he did. I know Xanderhall did, and Xanderhall's defense...
So this is the reason why I don't like apology videos.
Geez. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry, I didn't mean to play any audio. My bad. As I was saying, or maybe I didn't play it, I don't know. Look, regardless, okay? I know Xanderhall had a really bad take on that, and it just made everything look terrible for the left, okay? It just made the left look bad. Made the left look like the fun police. And that's not a good thing, okay? The left it suffers from this, okay? When we act as the fun police, we are doing ourselves a disservice. We're shooting ourselves in the foot when we do that. When we try to make the world a more boring place so that it's like more correct morally, we're doing ourselves a major disservice. Within our own moral framework, we should know better, right? If we want to do more good, then we need to understand that making the world a more boring place is never going to do anyone any favors. Being funny and entertaining as a leftist is far more important, right? I mean, sure, being right is the important part, right? That's the most important thing in terms of building your own worldview. But in terms of trying to convince others, what's more important than anything else, right, to convince them that you're right, is, well, your style of rhetoric and your demeanor, your sense of humor, your ability to entertain people, to say things that are funny and that resonate with people and that are logical and that people get, that people understand intuitively almost. Sure, I might enjoy pulling up a lot of studies about gender-affirming care to shit on conservatives, but the reason I do that isn't because, study equals good. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's because it's effective, right? Rhetorically. It's effective to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, that this has been settled scientifically, that all of the science is in favor of what I am saying. It's not just about the science, right? I feel like that's really important, right? It's like it is a means to an end in a way. And I think that intellectual honesty is also important, right? But why? Why do I think it's important? Well, it's because I think that it allows people to come to the most reasonable, logical, and correct conclusions. And what does that do? Well, what that does is it allows people to, well, be more morally correct in many ways and consistent, right? In order to be as consistent as possible with certain axioms that we all agree upon as a society, you have to, well, bite certain bullets that I'm willing to bite, but not others, right? Not everyone else is willing to bite those, right? But I have to establish why it is necessary, no matter how you feel, to do so. And frankly, it's most, at the end of the day, debate is a great format. I love debate, right? It's amazing. I love it as a concept. It's fun, it's engaging, and, it's a lot easier to win a debate if you're right. I'll say that, all right? I've tried you know, debating things that I don't really know that much about, I do okay, but I have to be a little bit weaselly to, you know, even stand a chance, right? Because it's like, and I feel bad about that, right? It's if I do that, unless it's like obviously a meme debate, right? If I'm arguing about the flying spaghetti monster, I do a great job still, right? But still, right? It's like, okay, a great job might be oversold. I don't know. I do an okay for what it is. I do a good job, right? But the fact of the matter remains that it's not just about being right. If you want to convince people, you have to do it in a way that is convincing, compelling enough to change the minds of people that don't already agree with you. But if they like you and your style of rhetoric or the way you present certain information, they're going to be way more inclined to trust whatever you have to say and more likely to change their minds, you know, for the better, to mature with iDubbbz, right? If that's the thing is when Ian alienates his audience, even though I know that I'm probably not the type of person he's referring to when he says, "Oh, I don't want you as a part of my audience," even the type of person that he doesn't want as a part of his audience, I think that there's a chance that they could mature with iDubbbz if he just presents the right arguments with the right style of rhetoric, with the right jokes, the right format, etc. I think that it's a missed opportunity, and it sucks. It sucks because I know how good Ian is when he's confident, right? At presenting information. I know how effective he can be, right? He just needs to direct that energy in a meaningful way. And that's what's missing. That's what's always been missing. He has that energy. Good. That's a great start. He did it in a way that was meaningful for me, but it was only meaningful because I read between the lines. Not everybody is as smart as me. Not to say that I'm smart, but to say that other people might be kind of stupid, right? That's why they're right-wingers in the first place, because they're not very bright. So, you know, I just think that it sucks to see. It really, you know, it breaks my heart as one of the people that got him and his content, understood his worldview. It's like, but nobody else seemed to. People misinterpreted, misquoted, out of context, etc. a lot of the shit he was saying. And that is a problem. That it's really unfortunate. It's tragic, frankly. Now, I don't want to get too rambly, okay? I do and I don't. All right? I want to see. Now, some of you guys may know who this person is, some of you may not. But there's a YouTuber who I'd say makes fairly good stuff, fairly good arguments. I haven't watched this video, by the way, but their name is Shark300, I think, is how you say their name. And they made a video talking about iDubbbz apologizing for his past. Now, something tells me, based on, you know, his other opinions and whatnot, he's generally going to side with iDubbbz, which is understandable. I get that. I mean, overall, if I had to pick a side, I would side with iDubbbz, because it's like, I would feel bad just completely shitting on him, giving him no charitability, you know, right? Like, I would just feel bad not giving him a chance, right? I'd rather be too charitable than not charitable enough. I think it's really important, right, to do that. So, I think...
Of them being responsible for anything, it's like the child mindset. Once again, it's the baby brain mindset. You can't tell me that I actually am responsible for the things that my audience do after I...
This is actually something that I criticized Leafy for, right? Is being like, no, you're not responsible. It's like, no, this is one of the things he was right about. It's like, yeah, if your fans are repeating your behavior that you are enabling, yes, you are responsible for that. Because they are copying you and what you do as a content creator. And it is directly connected to the videos you make, right? At that point, it's like, yes, you are responsible. So I already agree with him. Good take.
Say that it's actually kind of okay for them to do it. How could you ever put that on me when that's actually something that you made and did and said? I just think it's really unfortunate. iDubbbz. Now, I've been an iDubbbz viewer for quite some time.
Hell yeah.
I've been an iDubbbz viewer way back before probably even some people who even know about iDubbbz have been watching him. I watched him back when my man played Overgrowth. Okay, so
No fucking way. Holy shit.
I'm a long-term iDubbbz watcher. Now,
He's even more OG than me. Jeez. I thought I was like well, not the most OG, but like kind of OG. Like, I've been around for a while, and I was definitely like a hardcore fan, right? It's like, ever since I saw the Leafy content cop, like I fell in love with his work, right? I thought it was really good. I thought like there was something genius about it, right? There was something really smart about the way he made his videos that I just couldn't find anywhere else.
with that being said, I'm quite a bit older than iDubbbz, and when iDubbbz was in his Giga Edgy phase, his hair vomit cake phase, his N-word F
Oh, I love that phase. Oh, that's classic.
word phase, his green suit jump down from the countertop, I'm guy phase. I was from before that, okay? Listen, I've been there from the I've been there from like the Max Mofo and Joji Death Twister that got shut down because things went too far with the cameraman, okay? I was there. I was on the ground floor, okay, to all of it.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was there for bad unboxing. I was there.
Yeah, bad unboxing is underrated. Why does like, people always talk about Content Cop, but like, what about bad unboxing? It's like people bring up Kickstarter crap more than they bring up bad unboxing, which is surprising. I think bad unboxing is like really good. It was I thought it was like, you know, his second most popular series back in the day, right after Content Cop. I mean, I was probably biased because it was my second favorite right after Content Cop, so that's probably one of the main reasons I thought that. But still, I don't know. But like looking back, it's like it's like when people look back, they're like, oh yeah, it was he was known for Content Cop and Kickstarter crap. It's like, aren't you forgetting about like the one of the most important series on his channel? Like, come on, like some of his best work.
I was there. All right. Now listen. With that being said, I was there, but maybe not necessarily mentally. Mostly because when I was watching iDubbbz, I was a baby. I think I was a literal child. I may have also
same.
Been a minor. So like all of the bad stuff that he was doing in his past content, a lot of it went over my head.
No, that's the thing. Is I understood it. That's why if it doesn't go over your head, I feel like it's more acceptable, right? I feel like there's like a certain middle area, right? It's like, okay, you know, way down here, you're like, it goes over your head, so you think it's fine. And then there's this middle area, right, where you kind of understand what's going on, but not really. So, you know, so some of it goes over your head, but some of it doesn't, in which case, oh, yeah, he was a bad person. And then if you actually, like, are up here in terms of your ability to interpret content, it's like, oh, actually, no, it is understandable, right? Oh, I was right the first time, type of thing, right? Maybe for the wrong reasons, but still, right?
In the time, mostly because I just couldn't conceptualize how bad some of the things that he was actually doing back during the edgiest days of...
I don't think it was that bad. I think that the only reason it was bad was because he wasn't clear enough with his intent. That was the issue. People, you know, quoted him out of context, you know, to you know, argue things that Ian never argued for. You know, people used it as an excuse to say awful things that Ian never said, etc. And I think that he needed to be more clear about that not being okay while he was still making that content. Not after the fact, but during, right?
Of you back during the edgiest days of YouTube, where all of that stuff was just permitted and allowed. I grew up, and I don't like it. A lot of other people also grew up, and they didn't like it. But there's a lot of people who did grow up, but they didn't grow up. You know,
I don't know. I mean, I'm 19, right? So it's like, okay, you could say, oh, well, you'll understand when you're older. But like, don't give me that bullshit, right? It's like, no, I can have a logical argument. That's what I'm doing, all right? Okay, you know what? We'll continue. We're only 2 minutes in.
Grew up, but they didn't grow up mentally. They're still babies in their head, and they still really don't like iDubbbz. iDubbbz has been on the...
But that's the thing is I do. I hate to be one of those people where I'm not like the... I'm not like the other girls. I'm special. I'm unique. I'm not like them. But like that is genuinely the case in this instance. Okay, so the I'm different. I'm not like the other girls is like legitimately it's applicable, right? Am I wrong for saying that? I don't know. It's like I still like him as a person. I'm not gonna discredit his years of really good fucking work because what? He did something stupid in the Froggy Fresh situation. Okay, yeah, he kicked someone out of a boxing event that I didn't even watch. It's like, yeah, he can be criticized for it. In fact, he should. And the reason I'm so critical is not because I even think it's that big of a deal, but because I think what is a big deal is this dichotomy of either all of it's okay or none of it's okay in terms of criticizing him. It's like, no, just criticize him for the things he did wrong, right? Not just and I don't just mean like lightly criticizing his rhetoric, kind of, sort of, but not really, you know, to look like you have a more nuanced take than you actually do. No, I mean criticizing his actions when he does something wrong, okay? When he does something that leads to negative outcomes regardless of intent. I think that's... Otherwise, it's like, okay, you know, if I'm the only... Like, I can't be the only voice of reason here. I can't be the one who is willing to give him valid criticism while still acknowledging that most of the criticism he gets is dog shit, right? I can't single-handedly hold him accountable. I don't have enough of an audience for that. I can't... he's not going to debate me. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't care about me, you know, the same way that I might care about him as a content creator. He doesn't know who the fuck I am, right? There's nothing I can single-handedly do. And it sucks. Like, I want him to see valid criticism without all of the additional bullshit burying it. I feel like my valid criticism gets buried by all of this stupid, hyperbolic, over-the-top bullshit that he receives. And it sucks.
Receiving end of just like of like the weirdo, like closing in on 30-year-old in like a 15-year-old in the body of a 29-year-old fan base that he's unfortunately cultivated over the years with the type of content that he was putting together. And now he's...
Yeah, I guess I'm different. Like, unironically. Like, based on what the rest of the audience is being described as, I mean, I don't know, I thought I was I thought that people like me were the most common, but apparently not. Apparently, I guess it wasn't as common for people to understand. But, like, that's the thing, is I don't want to believe that. Because then that means that I have to be like, oh yeah, I'm smarter than everybody. And I don't want to say that. Because I don't believe that I'm smarter than other people, inherently. Of some people, conservatives, yeah, I'm smarter than conservatives. But, like, people in general, no. I want to believe that other iDubbbz fans, you know, were like me and understood him. I don't want to be the only person that understood his argument points and everyone else was just too fucking brain dead to actually understand the genuine messages, the underlying messages of his videos. I can't be the only one, right? I'm not like a genius. I'd say I'm fairly smart in some regards. I mean, I'm decent at making content. I mean, that might help. You know, I have the perspective of both a viewer and a content creator. That could be part of it, but, like, still. I don't think I'm, like... I don't think it requires a 5 billion IQ or anything to understand what he was going for. Even if it was easy to misinterpret. It's like, I guess he was just too charitable to his audience or some shit. I don't know. But that was what I liked so much. Is it felt like, yeah, he assumes that I'm a smart person. He assumes I get what he means. He doesn't have to over-explain everything in a video. He understands that I understand comedy. And it sucks, right? Because it's like, oh, but I guess I'm not the majority of people. I guess most people aren't like me. I guess most people were misinterpreting what he was saying. And it sucks. It's, like, really saddening. It's like I knew what he stood for. Was I seriously one of the only people that knew what he actually cared about in his... Like, was I one of the only people that understood things like subtlety? Did nobody else pay attention to the arguments he made? It's just really disappointing. Like, and again, I don't blame iDubbbz for feeling bad about it, because it's like, yeah, the ultimate outcome of his content was not the intended one. And it's really unfortunate. You know, as one of the people that those videos really fucking spoke to. I don't know. It's depressing. It's depressing. I don't know. It was like this weird mutual sense of charitability. Me being charitable to him, iDubbbz, my favorite content creator, assuming, he has decent intent, like, assuming, yeah, okay, just take it at face value. He's not dog whistling, right? I'm being charitable in that way, interpreting the actual messages he's saying for what they are, rather than misconstruing them. And, he was being charitable to me, the viewer, assuming that I'm smart enough to not take his messages the wrong way. It's like, why do stupid people that are way dumber than me or iDubbbz have to ruin it for everybody? It sucks, right? Like, but it's like, what can you do? Like, I don't know. It's like, why should these fucking dumbass conservatives act as a weight that holds people back in their artistic freedom? It fucking sucks. It's like, why should their stupidity hold us back? I mean, I know that most people in chat are probably smart enough to understand what the actual messaging of his content was. I feel like most people who watch me are fairly intelligent, except for people that hate watch me, of course. But again, like, most of my fans seem pretty smart. They seem like they understand shit like this, right? But maybe I've created an echo chamber for myself where it's like, oh, here's people that are smart enough to interpret shit, but that's not the majority of people. I don't know. And it's like, I don't know. It sucks to see that other people had to ruin it for us, right? They had to ruin it for reasonable people who watched it and understood the messaging. The fucking, the Nazis in his audience, even if they weren't the majority, they still played a huge role in ruining it for the rest of us. Same thing with, even just the conservatives who misinterpreted what he was saying. They ruined it for the rest of us. And I think that they are to blame far more than iDubbbz himself. It's very disappointing that people misconstrued his messaging, which I thought was obvious. But it's like, okay, I guess they interpret it in bad faith, or in a way that's convenient for what they believe, right? But I don't know. Maybe I was one of the only people that never did that.
Grown up, and he's like, man, I don't necessarily want to be involved with any of these people anymore. I know he's been clowned on for a lot of stuff. People said that the old him would have like bullied the new him, and I'm not even...
I fundamentally disagree. And I have said this a billion times. No. The old him would probably see it as a wake-up call. Okay, the new him would tell the old him, "Oh, hey, by the way, dumbass, your content that you're making right now, yeah, that's gonna enable like genuinely racist people down the line. Just so you're aware. So you might want to either be more clear about your intent, maybe do live streams, or just don't do this shit. Okay, it's not worth it. People aren't as smart as you think they are. People are stupid. They're gonna misinterpret it. Okay, that's what right-wingers do, is be unintelligent and not read between the lines. I think that's, and then past iDubbbz, sort of, I'm like, fuck, are you serious? Is that really the like, again, old iDubbbz would, first of all, be way too intelligent, regardless, to not listen to his future self, right? I think most people would be, right? I know I would listen to future me. It's like, well, I end up there inevitably, so clearly I'm right in the future, right? Maybe not, but I mean, I don't know. Or if he doesn't know it's his future self, I still don't think he would have bullied, someone who acts like, future him or whatever, right? Like, I genuinely don't. And I think, again, that is a fundamental misinterpretation of his content and what he stood for in the first place. And I think that is why he's so fucking, depressed now and is like, oh, fuck, I fucked up. Why he feels terrible about his older content, because it's like, nobody understood why I did what I did, and I feel awful about it. People used this to harm other people. And that realization that he got kind of fucked with him. Right? He knows that his intentions were good, and he acknowledges that. But he's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Stupid people misinterpreted it. He doesn't say stupid people. But I'm saying stupid people because you have to be stupid to misinterpret his content, the obvious, areas in which you should read between the lines. It's like, How are you so fucking stupid that you thought that Ian was genuinely in favor of racism? Come on. That's absurd. And some of it might be due to some people being young, but still, I was young. I never thought he was genuinely racist. I never used it as like an argument against, you know, minority groups. In fact, I used it as a point of consistency, even. I don't know if the whole idea of, well, yeah, well, if everybody is equal, right, regardless of skin color, if skin color does not dictate who you are as a person, then everybody should be able to say this word, right? Like, otherwise you are saying that the validity of an action is based on skin color. And I still kind of agree with Past Me on that as well. Now, I phrase it a little bit better. I'm more intelligent about my framing of the argument, but that was generally what I believed. And I still kind of believe that. You know, it's just I have a different strategy. I'm more aware of you know, unintended consequences, right? It's not just about good intent, okay? I know. It's like, oh, yeah, well, intentions are important, but so is consequentialism, right? Hate to be a Vosh clone here, but, I mean, come on. Consequentialism is pretty base, I'm not gonna lie. It's not the end-all be-all, but still, it's important.
Necessarily sure.
It is one area that I care about. It's one of many, right? I guess the foundation is more of what I believe is more existential, right? It's like, oh yeah, we life has the meaning that we prescribe to it, yada yada yada. You get the point. But that's not like that, and consequentialism aren't mutually exclusive, right? I think that they're complementary, really.
Or if that's true, iDubbbz hasn't changed his opinions too much. I think the only thing he's really changed on
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Is like the only thing he's really changed on is like speaking publicly about how he feels about his past content.
Yes. This is almost spot on. This is really good analysis right off the bat. I wasn't sure if he was going to give a nuanced take or not, but this is really good from Shark. This is why I really like his videos. I should probably watch more of them. His rhetoric is effective, kind of unique. He has like his own style. He seems like a really nice person. He's the kind of person that I would enjoy talking to, right? It's like, you know, like, okay, you know, it's like one thing if I, like, let's say, you know, argue more abstractly about, like, okay, you know, well, technically, like, why is your skin color, you know, what dictates whether or not it's valid for you to say a certain word or whatever, right? You know, it's like a more abstract, disconnected argument. But I feel like, well, in this case, for obvious reasons, right? I feel like that would be an even better discussion. It's like, because then you could talk about, okay, well, this affects me this way. This is how I feel about this, right? And it's like, okay, well, that's valid, right? I think that that could be important, right? But it's also like, okay, you know, because there's less of a disconnect, like, for obvious reasons, there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect there, right? Less of a disconnect, right? I think, but he seems like the kind of person that would have, like, a nuanced discussion about that. It's like, okay, well, here's a context in which, okay, well, technically this is fine, but, like, I personally don't think it's a smart thing. It's like, okay, there's so much nuance to it. It's like, okay, you know, I don't know. I think, it's like, okay, like, here's a context iDubbbz could have elaborated on to make it more justifiable, right? I don't know.
I know a lot of people feel similarly about Joji, but the thing that happened with Joji is that Joji just stopped making content and then pivoted and then is now doing something completely different. While
True. Whereas, obviously, yeah, iDubbbz is still, well, a YouTuber, right? At the end of the day, right? Like, that's just kind of how it is, right? So it's like, obviously, you're gonna have, like, some amount of overlap in, you know, the people that, you know, watch your shit and whatnot and consume that type of media, right? Because you're using the same medium, you know, relatively, you know, similar audience for the most part, until it changes slowly over time, right? But ultimately, I think that, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you know, I think that, I don't know. I think that ultimately, regardless, you know, I don't know. I think that if Ian was more clear about his intent, again, if he had made like his intent more clear and whatnot, I think that could have been really useful and whatnot, right? Like, that would have been a really good thing, you know. But, you know, again, he's clearly not as good at communicating as, well, he could be, right? I think he is capable of it. I just think, okay, well, one, lack of confidence definitely doesn't help, and, you know, etc. You get the point.
I'll never referring to Filthy Frank ever again, right? But that's just kind of how things are. iDubbbz is still around, still doing things. He's married
That's
now.
true.
He's like 30 now. He's like a grown adult who wears a mustache and for some reason can somebody tell me what's going on with like white boys?
Yeah, okay, yeah, everyone has noticed this. It's like, yeah, the mullet and like the ironic mullet and mustache that Curtis Connor has. It's like every YouTuber in their 30s seems to, you know, have that aesthetic now. I don't know.
Recently,
Not every,
do I have like a white boy speaker or something? Because I need to know what's going on. What's up with like white boys today?
Or I guess it would mainly be white YouTubers in their 30s. Huh, I never thought about that. Yeah, I guess you don't really see any black mullets. At least not that I'm aware. Wait, what would that look like? I'm trying to visualize that. I guess I don't know. The mustache part, I could obviously visualize. I don't really see that though, right?
And wearing mullets. Why do you like golden retriever white boys wear mullets these days? Why do all white boys these days want to look like they're extras from Full House? Can somebody tell me that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Can somebody tell me that? Like, what's going on? I want to figure out why he feels the way he does and how he's going to move on into the future about all of this, because I think it's curious and I just want to know how he feels about everything, and also go on a little journey for me because I haven't really kept up with iDubbbz in a while now. After I grew up a bit, and I just want to see.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I mean, I hadn't kept up with him as much for a while, mainly because one, he doesn't upload that much. Two, you know, the content isn't as interesting as his older content, right? And three, I kind of took a break from commentary and whatnot, right?
What's going on?
For a while, I felt like if I change my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value. But I'm starting to realize that.
And I'm not going to watch this entire hour and 7-minute long thing, right? That would be too long, right? But I am watching the beginning part, right? Because I do think that, you know, this guy makes really, really good shit, right? I think his analysis is usually spot on or pretty damn close, right? I think he has interesting points that he makes. I think he makes good arguments. He seems like a cool dude. And yeah, I think he makes a lot of valid arguments that are nuanced, and yeah, it's good shit.
So that is a very
I highly encourage you to, you know, watch this on your own.
weak and passive way to, you know, run my channel and live my life. So I think it's, you know, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I made. So that's what this video is. I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel.
I think this is so far, honestly, I think it's a pretty decent start. I do think that everybody else that he was like contemporaries with, that being like Max Mofo and Joji, I think they all just kind of ran away from their past selves. They just kind of booked it. Like some people said they left and changed. I just kind of think they ran.
I don't know. I think what they did was valid. I think it's fair enough. I don't really think that they did anything real bad, honestly. I don't even think iDubbbz did anything that bad, frankly. I think, okay, maybe his content, some of his content might have been a little bit harmful in the past, you know, consequentially, right? But again, that could have been fixed through making more content, not avoiding the content altogether, right? I think that, I don't know. There's just something about his old messaging spoke out to me, right? And I feel like if he had articulated it in a way that is impossible to misinterpret, right? I feel like that could have been really useful, right? Again, the whole idea of, okay, well, the more you use a word, the less power it has, right? Now, like, for instance, you're allowed to say whatever slurs you want on my Discord server. The reason being because they don't mean anything there. And if you use them for their intended purpose, Hello? How long was my mic muted for? Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's not good. How long was I muted for? Like 3... Oh, shit. Man, I was making some really good points. Anyways, go subscribe to... God, I always forget how to say his name. Shark300. Shark300, right? That's how you... Yeah, subscribe to him. Smash like. Go watch his stuff. I think he's criminally underrated. Okay? People don't give him enough credit for his style of rhetoric, okay? They just don't. They just don't, okay? They just don't. They just don't. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't know. The fact of the matter is, okay, before I go, I think that, one of the main problems with Ian's old content is, again, he didn't set clear boundaries for context in which it is or isn't okay to say the N-word, right? He didn't establish that, right? Which means that, well, people are going to use it in a context that he wouldn't be okay with, right? He can use his own intuition for when he says it, right? But that's not a rule that other people can intuit. Like, they can't, just they don't have that same sort of, line of reasoning or whatever, right? They don't have the same values or whatever, right? And again, I think that context matters, but he didn't elaborate on where the line needs to be drawn, because it has to be drawn somewhere. Even if it's arbitrary, I would agree it's arbitrary, but I'd rather it be drawn somewhere than nowhere, and in a place that is but in a place that's based on logic, not, oh, well, just don't say it at all. It's like, okay, but there's a little bit more nuance there, right? Like, at the end of the day, you're just giving it power it doesn't need to have. I think that if he had made it more clear, as to, like, examples of which, okay, this isn't okay. If he had, called out, examples of it genuinely being racist, especially, and, instances where it's clear that the person saying it is ideologically racist. If he had just done that, that would have been so beneficial, right? That would have been so beneficial. That would have, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you guys think? What about you, chat? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you neutral? I don't know. It's hard to say. But anyways, this was a little bit of a shorter stream. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was only like, whatever, an hour and a half. Hopefully, it was as entertaining as I could possibly make it. Mutual, TBH? Hell yeah. Well, I think that, yeah, I hope I was entertaining. That's the goal. And if nothing else, I hope you learned something new. Maybe you have a little bit of a different perspective that's more nuanced on the situation, instead of, iDubbbz is evil and being manipulated by his evil wife, or, oh, he's this angel now. He used to be this awful person, but now he's this angel. See, this is, and that's why I was interested to see what Shark had to say. It's like, okay, I know he's going to be on iDubbbz's side, most likely, which he was, but he gave a nuanced take. And that's what I respect over everything else. He doesn't have the same take as me, but it's nuanced. And that is a